I had to verify that I'm not a robot. And it took them a long time to do that, apparently. Okay, are we ready? Are we going? So here we are.
So just before you start, we've changed the schedule around slightly today. Apologies for anyone who didn't know. We're going to have you're going to be on the 15 minutes now. Ilana's going to be on straight afterwards, then myself, and then Avadi. Okay, that's the schedule for this morning. Nice to see everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Good morning, and over to Dov Bear.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Seder. And it was Beseder. Our sages teach us Hakol Beseder, which means everything's okay, but it means everything is in the Seder. Everything's in the Seder night. So what that means is that we get a huge influx of power and spiritual light into our lives on Seder night, and then we go straight from Seder night into Sfirat HaOmer, counting the Omer. And we got 49 days of preparation to receive the Torah. And what that means is we now have to put in the work to internalize the great inspiration that we had. And Justifi always teaches this very important idea. There's a very big difference between inspiration and transformation. Inspiration, transformation. Inspiration means I see the world in a new way, and I see myself better, and I see a new vision for the world and myself. Transformation is, how am I going to implement that in my life? What am I going to do with that? Because inspiration wears off very, very quickly. Whereas transformation is, I'm actually changing myself as a person. So this time of year, Sfirat HaOmer, is the time for us counting the Omer, counting these 49 days from leaving Egypt to receiving the Torah, is the time for us to internalize all the lessons that we took from our Seder night. So this is really what we're trying to do. So this is called processing, or in some places they call it processing. But we call it processing. And what that means is this is what a processing plant does. It gets rid of all the stuff you don't need, and it refines and takes all the stuff you did want, and it gives you an end product. So really, these 49 days, the word for a good heart in Hebrew is lev tov. And lev tov is numerical value 49. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a good heart. I'm going to sneeze. I'm not. Thank you. Aha. Suspect corona there. Didn't happen. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a good heart. We're going to build a good heart. So really, I said to teach us that we have two hearts. We have two hearts, and one of them, when we talk about our heart in Judaism, we often mean our motivations or our desire, our yearning. What do we want? What do we want? So really, most of us want lots of things. I want to be a good person. I also want people to like me. I also want nice food. I also want everyone to buy my book. I also want my children to behave. I want so many things, you know. And in fact, our minds, this is why we do meditation, hopefully most days, our minds are very, very, very busy wanting all the time. And some things we want are good for us, and some things we want are not good for us. So we've been defining positive and negative. Positive is something that helps you reach your goal, and negative is something that doesn't help you reach your goal. So positive and negative emotions, a negative emotion doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means it's not helping you get to your goal of consciousness and love and joy and health and positivity. And positive emotions are. So we've got to work out to have a good heart. We've all got this good heart and this not so good heart. We want to develop our good heart, so we want to internalize all the lessons and all the inspiration that we've had in our life. And we want to let go of all the regret and doubt and pain and trauma and abuse and stuff that we've had in our life. So this is what we're really trying to do in this time of life. So the first week of the Omer is Chesed, And chesed represents chesed, and chesed means loving kindness. And loving kindness is really the core value, the core quality that we really want in our life. And chesed means a kind of unconditional giving, not only to other people, but it really starts with ourselves. Can we give love to ourselves? It's a very important thing. We have an idea, we learn in the Torah, "Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," and you should love your fellow as yourself. If you love yourself, then it's hard to love other people. Or I don't want you to love me like you love yourself if you don't love yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a meditation today. It's called Chesed meditation. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up our hearts a little bit. And we want to let go. Once again, we're processing. So we want to let go of any negativity. We want to open ourselves up to positivity. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit up straight first. Chesed meditation. And there are two types of chesed meditation, and we're going to do them both. We're going to do both of them. They're very similar, but you'll see how they're slightly different. I'm teaching you both types because then you can choose which one works better for you. And if you can do 5 to 10 minutes of chesed meditation every day, it will really transform your day, hopefully. So first we're going to sit up straight, as we normally do, and you're just going to loosen your neck and your shoulders. That's good. Yeah, okay. And now we're going to do something very important, is you're going to tap over here in your heart area, and this actually helps release lots of emotional energy. I believe this is why sometimes when we're davening, we have this thing where we strike our chest. It's not to say I'm bad and I'm evil. It's to just open up our hearts a little bit. It's like, hello, heart, are you in there? Wake up. And you can just, often when I'm davening, when I'm praying, if I don't feel I'm really getting into it, I'm feeling it, then I just tap myself here. I hope no one sees me whilst I'm doing that. But I'm just tapping here to open up my heart. That's what we're doing. Tapping and circling around your heart. Very good. Important. Keep breathing and smiling and tapping. Okay. So now I'd like you to gently close your eyes, be in a comfortable position, gently close your eyes, loosen your neck and breathe as much as you feel you need to. So you're breathing very, 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 very deeply. And very deeply and steadily. And each time you breathe in, you can feel that your posture is actually getting better. You're sitting up straighter, not tight and uncomfortable, but much straighter. And breathing out, just letting go of any tension anywhere in your body. Okay, so this is how Chesed meditation works. What I want you to do is breathe in very deeply. And I want you to feel love towards yourself. And this can be hard for some people, but I just want you to breathe in and smile. And if you need to say to yourself, I'm a good person, or something positive about yourself, then you can do that. But in general, I just want you to feel your heart open and feeling unconditional love towards yourself. And if lots of thoughts are coming in, just let them go past like clouds in the sky. Smile at them, whether they're negative, whether they're positive, just smile at them. And keep refocusing on the exercise, which is to breathe in deeply into your heart and feel love towards yourself. Rav Noach Weinberg used to teach that love is the feeling that comes from focusing on the virtues of another person or yourself. So if you need to use that, just think of a few of your good character traits. I'm a good friend. I'm generous. I have discipline. Okay, now I want you to think of some people that you love. Your parents, your friends, some people you love, your dog. And breathing in and out, expand your love to those people that you love. And feel love and send good vibes to those people. Send love to those people you love. Breathing deeply and smiling, sending good vibes to those people you love. Okay, start expanding your sphere of loving energy to other friends that you also love, close friends, close relatives, beyond your inner circle of people you really love, out to a wider circle of friends and relatives that you love, and send love and good feeling and good vibes to those. And feel your whole energy and sphere of love growing bigger and bigger. Breathing and smiling. Now expand your love to people you know, other people at work or in your yeshiva, or maybe not your closest friends or your relatives, but people nice people in your life. You can think of them, imagine their faces, then send them good vibes. Okay, and expand more to acquaintances. You don't really know them, they're just people in the shop maybe you met, or someone at work or in yeshiva, or in your neighborhood that you see around, but you don't know them so well, but send them goodness and love.
So next speaker starts in 2 minutes.
Send love to the next speaker. And maybe if you feel comfortable, just for the last minute or so, expand your love out to people you maybe don't like so much. Maybe they did not nice things. And maybe try and focus on one good character trait they do have, or maybe they give charity, or try and focus on the good in the people you don't like so much and try and give some love and good vibes to them too. And for the last minute, expand your love to all of humanity and all of the world in general, nature, wildlife, everything. Just feel expansive love. And remember, it all starts from your core of sending unconditional love to yourself. Always feeling good about yourself, even though we're not perfect, we can still love ourselves. And spreading that love from your core to everyone else. You should love everyone as you love yourself. So build your self-love and then spread it. Thank you very much. We're going to get ready for the next speaker, who I love very much, whoever it is. Bye.
Thanks so much, Dr. And we're actually switching the next speaker away from someone who Dr. loves, that's me, to someone who I love, and that's Ilana. I'm speaking after Ilana today. Thank you, Dr. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Well, I know that Dog actually loves everybody. It's just he's just too polite to say it. That's all. But anyway, yeah. Hi everybody. Okay. So today, can I see myself? No, not really. Okay. Today we're going to talk more about this question of values, and we're going to address it from a couple of different angles. I hope people did their thinking about what their values are over Chag. And here I'm going to throw in a couple of questions that I get very, very regularly, and that is, you know, what happens if your values change drastically over the course of your life. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people here who may feel that their values have changed drastically, or what happens if, you know, once you're married, you start to realize that, you know, you really don't share the same values as your spouse, and what to do about that. Okay, and the reason why these questions are important, irrespective of where you are in life, is that the answers to them is going to help us really get clear about what our values are. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a little bit of an exercise, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of exercises that you can do in your own home. Okay, but the first exercise, I want you to sort of close your eyes for a minute, everybody. We can stay in bear mode, and I want you to think about things that get you angry. But when I mean angry, I mean like, you know, writhing, shaking, fuming, fury angry, that kind of angry. What are the things that get you really, really angry? Like something doesn't resonate. What happened and how I feel don't quite tally, because something small may have happened and it set me off into this place of complete, almost like internal crisis. that kind of angry. And even if you're not an angry person, you will have experienced this before. Okay, anybody brave want to share with us, either by talking or by typing, what that was?
I'll share.
Thank you.
Hi. I thought of two things, but I want to also, and this is maybe part of the exercise, that the things that I thought of were actually not anything that I did. It's like other people aren't listening. It's so interesting, right? So like the first thing that came to mind is I asked my kids to do something and it doesn't happen and it doesn't happen. And then I get so like, why aren't they listening? And the other one was about even at work when I'm having a conversation with someone and they're just speaking as if they're not hearing me, they're not listening. So it's like, did I not express myself properly? Is it they are not open to listening? So it's those things where I feel like I'm not being heard. That's
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You love humanity, don't you?
Yes.
How do I know that? I don't even know you, Karen, but I know that you love humanity. The reason that I know that is because, you know, your kids not listening to you is enough to trip up any mom, but that sense of fury that someone isn't really being heard is tripping up a very deep principle that everybody has the right to be heard. And when little things happen that trip that up, it's a fuse that goes in you, because it's one of your basic principles, one of your basic values in life. Now, I'm experiencing this exercise, so I can do this quickly, but when we do this on ourselves, what we need to do is we need to take those little things that can trip us up, and we need to start digging. And the best tool to dig is a tool called why. Why did that bother me? Because they didn't listen. So what? Why did that bother me? Because they're supposed to listen. Well, why did that bother me? Because it shows disrespect if they don't listen, right? There's this, once you start to use our best shovel in self-awareness, which is the why shovel, we can start to get to lower layers as to the point, the tipping point, as you know, which really tripped up that fuse. So thank you for sharing, Karen. That's a great exercise in understanding really the things that get to us are the things that we really deeply care about. I'm going to give you a couple more exercises to do at home. Another exercise, which is very similar to that one, but also very different, is the things that move you to tears, but that aren't obvious. Meaning, if somebody steps on your toe and that moves you to tears, that's fine. You know, if somebody dies and that moves you to tears, that's fine. But there are some things in life that move you to tears. A great exercise by this is that if you've got a movie that every time you watch it, you just can't help it, you cry. Ask yourself which theme in that movie made you cry. You know, for me it's Pollyanna every time. Okay, which theme in the movie made you cry? What is it that it trips up in you, that it goes so deep that it moves you to a place beyond just emotion, but a place just like fury is a place beyond a normal emotion. So crying, it means you've been taken to a deeper place in your emotion. So those are two exercises. Another exercise is to write down your very first 5 memories ever. Just write down boom, 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 boom. Well, I can't give it away now because I'll have to tell you next time what to do with it. Okay, do the exercise, write down your first 5 memories ever, and then afterwards I'll show you what to do with them. There are so many clues that we have in our lives, and this is what we're going to find, and this is what's going to really inform both our marriage choices if we're pre-marriage, or our building our relationships if we're in a relationship, which is that we're going to find that actually the core values that we've had for a very, very, very long time. And it's generally not true that a person who's changed their life has changed their values, even though it may seem that way. What is generally more true, especially when a person has made a very big U-turn in their life, is that they have actually brought their life in line with their core values. They have righted the injustice of the gap between what their life really represented and what their values really were, and now they've taken their life more in line with their values. And here's the cool part: it's usually in line with the values that we've had all along. So you can be a 35-year-old who changes their life completely and goes from being a Wall Street, you know, wolf to being a volunteer and a philanthropist who does lots of yoga. And if you go back to what it was that made you change your life, you'll see that the values that really spoke to you, that were not present in one chapter of your life that you then changed, you know, that caused you to change, those core values are with you from the very, very beginning. And you'll find going back into your very early history a pattern in those values. It's a very, very important exercise to do that, and that's how we can deal with changes, because once I'm identifying my core values, then if you and I share core values, we can go on many changes in life because we're being formed by the same piece. Okay, so changes of values are generally not changes of values. They are changes of inconsistencies in our lifestyle. So you can have someone who, you know, again, like they went from being really, I don't know, money focused to spirituality focused, or fun focused to depth focused. But what happened was, like, they started to realize that there were things that didn't fit in, you know, with who they were, and that's what really created the changes. And you'll see that you haven't really made massive changes in your core very often in your life. You may have made character trait improvements to realign yourself with the things that you believe to be true, but there are consistent themes. It's very, very unusual to meet someone whose core values have completely flipped. Again, it's usually their core values have informed their lifestyle that's completely flipped. And to be perfectly honest, if people make such massive changes that they're not recognizable anymore when they're in the wrong marriage, that's when Judaism advocates looking into whether marriage should continue or not. And there is a time for it to say this relationship is now over because I'm living like a different person. But if you want to get in touch with your core values, you will find that there are clues that have been there from the very beginning and that they're all along. Now, the good news with this also, when it comes to relationships that you're in, is that, okay, it's one thing if you're sort of single and trying to figure out whether you have enough values to make your marriage work. But if you are in a married relationship and you start to think, gosh, we're so different, you know, I like to go to museums and my husband just likes to play golf and we've just really grown apart and blah, 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 blah. What, again, you'll find is that if you can go back into what your real core values are, you can actually expand the birth of your commonalities. You know, so I'm thinking to myself, you know, I'm just very cultured and I like, you know, museums, and he's just into golf and he's just not that deep. And I'm like getting into ancient Egypt and he's just getting more into golf, and like this relationship isn't working. But if we go deep into our core values, if we see, for example, that actually what's motivating both of us is a real drive for self-development and to make the most of life, and it has different expressions. The difference of expressions don't always matter, because we can actually respect the fact that we're both people who really, really believe that life is there to be used well and self-development is important. We don't have to be the same. You see, when people don't have their core values very, very, very clear, they tend to think that you have to be very, very similar, and that's not true. You have to be driven by things that you respect in each other. And it's very important in a marriage, especially when people start to develop and when you're in your 30s and your 40s and you're finding new things about yourself that you didn't even know about yourself. It's very important to be able to say, we have to have this continued conversation of what our baseline of values is, to be able to see that even though we have, you know, different things growing in our lives, you know, I've been into my career and you've been into your career, and it's different directions. So it feels like we're doing different things, but ostensibly, if we can overlap in terms of our core values and we can have that conversation, then we can reconnect to each other and say, gosh, we're expressing our values in different ways, but isn't this an amazing thing? And this, by the way, you'll also find in terms of like religious differences. You know, it's very difficult to reconcile somebody who could care less about spirituality and growth with someone who's all about that. That is a difficult thing to reconcile. However, you can reconcile two people who are very into growth and truth and meaning, but who have different ways of expressing that, or different paces at which they are developing that. And to feel that, wow, I'm not in exactly the same space as the person that I'm in a relationship with, therefore we can't make this work, it can be a very superficial understanding of it. Let me go back to the bottom line things that are really important to me, and can I respect yours in you, and can you respect mine in me, and together can we bring something to the table over here where we can share again this feeling of respect and this expression of meaning, even though we have differences. So for those of you who are in relationships that are committed already, and you're starting to feel that pain of the chasm between your two senses of values, go back to the drawing board and you will see that probably the things that brought you together then will probably still be true now. And if you can find the common language that brings your very different experiences and day-to-day interests together, you'll find that that's a new level of overlap and a new level of connection that's very important for a marriage. And for those of you who are pre-marriage, get to the bottom of what your core values really, really are. It will do nothing less important than really help you find someone with whom you can really create a connection and make sure that your life is full of meaning. And it will also explain many of the changes in your life that you've made or the changes that you want to make, because we have to ask this question: is my life a reflection of the things that bring me meaning? And if my life is a reflection of my values, and my life is a reflection of the things that bring me meaning. So I think that's me for time. So I will now pass you back on.
Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. This is going to be a little bit more of an interactive session, okay, assuming that the screen sharing works. We've spent a decent amount of time over the last kind of 5 sessions talking a little bit about the nature of thinking and how thinking works. We had Shani helping us. Shani's not able to join us over Pesach, but to see if she comes back afterwards. But it's an area that I'm very passionate about, and I wanted to talk about a little bit. And I'm sharing a screen with you right now, and I'm putting on it an email, and I want you guys to talk to me a little bit. You can do it on the microphone, or you can do it by writing. Here's the email, okay? Can you guys see the screen? I hope you can. Okay, can someone give me the thumbs up? Can you guys see the screen? Yeah? Can you see it? Okay, that's great. Okay, you're coming home from work, you come home from work, and it's about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and your boss sends you, or your supervisor, whatever it is, sends you an email that says, hi, actually, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it, because I'll put my own tone onto it. I want you guys to read this email. And, you know, Shani has shared, and these are kind of very core values to what Justifi teaches and about the idea that your thinking makes your reality a little bit, that it kind of changes the way that you experience things. So you get an email like this. Can anyone share with me what your feelings might be? What would you feel when you read an email like this? It's a little difficult for me to see the comments with the screen share. So if people wouldn't mind unmuting their microphones and letting me know. Do you have any thoughts? What would your feelings be if you got an email like this about 9 o'clock at night? Anyone happy to share with me? There we go. The computer's running slow. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, I can't see anybody now. It's all my technology seems to have failed a little bit. real disaster. Sorry about this, guys. Oh, there we go. We finally got you guys back. Okay, so I've got your chats now. Very good. Okay, so we've got as follows. Yeah. Cheryl says, I feel defensive. Why did she wait till night mining? Doesn't she have been working on it? Agitated. Persons fragmented in their thinking. Exactly. Okay, this is something that should have been communicated earlier. 100%. Yeah, 100%. So now, what would be? How would you respond? Like, what would be a response that you might say? Now you got to think about this, right? Now remember, the goal of the stuff that we've been trying to share with everyone, the concept over here, is that you should remain feeling good and connected and calm and happy at all times, right? The idea is it's a little bit like giving you armor, so that anything that comes at you that's inappropriate, that's not right, does not affect your state of being. Now, the way that your state of being is affected is we have different thoughts about how to interpret an experience that we have. That's all. Okay? We have a different, for example, I just couldn't get you guys back on the screen, right? And there's 20 of you that have dialed in at 9:30 in the morning or interrupted your day, okay? And so one of my thoughts that goes through here is, where's the hammer? I'm going to smash my computer, right? Another thought that goes through is like, I'm letting these people down. I'm just a bad person. Yeah. It's all garbage. None of that's true. Everyone has technical problems with their computer, right? So I'm telling you, this is the truth, okay? I waited for a thought that was like, okay, back away from the screen share, reconnect back up to the thing, look for everybody's chat, and move forward. And that felt right. Does that resonate? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? That actually felt right. So I don't know if you noticed that, again, I think my voice stayed calm. Yeah. And I just fiddled around, and there was an awkward 60 seconds where I wasn't able to find you, but I believed that I would, and then we did, right? So therefore, right, I was able to stay connected. So how would we respond to an email like this in a way that does not, right, create an escalation? It's really easy to create an escalation, to be just like, dear boss, couldn't you have told me this before I left to go home? I can't really work on this now. You know, and I've been busting myself to get this finished. And you're right, it's taken a long time because I haven't had the support that I need. Right? And you send one of those emails, yeah? Now, I know you don't have the email in front of you now, but let me give you another way of reading it. Hi, can you make sure that I have the project tomorrow morning, please? It's really taking quite a while, hasn't it? Maybe that's what they meant. It's like, and you could totally respond and say like, it has taken a while, I know. Dude, it's been really crazy. And I'm gonna try, but like, can you give me 24 hours on it? I'll report to you for sure tomorrow morning. If I don't have the email ready, if I don't have the project ready, I'll let you know what's going on. And they would be like, great, as long as you're on it. Right? But we read into the words what we think the words are saying, and then we have that experience of agitation, frustration. I hate working in this place. Why is this guy a jerk? Why don't they give us, right? Does that make any sense? And by the way, it could be that the way that it really reads is, hi, can you make sure I have this darn project tomorrow? It's taken way too long already. That could really be what they mean. But if that's the case, within your own thinking, what are the thoughts that come up? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my job. Right? It's not a connected sense of space, and you're not gonna bring out the best response from yourself. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? I want to see like some thumbs up or something, so I just know that you're with me and that I'm not talking garbage to you guys. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that you relate to this properly, right? Amazing. Right? So how do we respond to our circumstance? The next step on from what Shani was talking about is to realize that I'm going to have different ways of interpreting my experience. And the one I should choose is going to be a combination of appropriate response, but one that leaves me feeling that I'm the mature party in the conversation, that I'm connected to my core values, that I'm honest and sincere, and therefore as a result, you're going to see, generally speaking, you're either going to send the other person into a complete frenzy because you're being so calm and they're trying to fight you and you're just not allowing a fight, or you're going to get a really mature response from them. So if you wrote back and said something like, it has taken a really long time, hasn't it? It has taken a really long time, yeah? And I'm really sorry if that's slowing things down. I'll definitely get the project to you by mid-morning. If there are any further hiccups, I'll make sure to come in and report it to you, explain it to you, so that we can adjust the timeline. Have a good night. Right? In other words, because you can't get the project ready before it's ready, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get that jerk in the other office to send the thing in that he needs to send in that's slowing things down. Your hands are tied, right? But when there's no emotion in the email, it's just clear. That's a connected sense of being. I have another email that I wanted to share with you guys, but I'm just going to read it to you. Listen to this one. Hi, things are really tough for me at work right now, and I really need the weekends to chill and to rest. Do you mind if I bail on our plans to road trip? Now, who's received an email like that in the past? I certainly have. I mean, I haven't got so many plans to go road trip, but you know what I mean, right? So what type of emotions come up when your friend just bails on you just before the weekend for something that you wanted to do? What kinds of emotions come up? What would you say? How do people feel? Can anyone type me anything? What would you say? Your friends just bailed on you. There's guys here in the yeshiva who are studying in Jerusalem, you know, like the friend just says like, oh yeah, I forgot to arrange the Shabbat plan, sorry. It's like Friday afternoon, you know. Whoops, sorry, I had a hectic week. Like, whatever it is. Can anyone think what would be the stuff that would come up? Steve says he's relieved as he was kind of hoping to stay home anyway. But what if you're not? You really wanted to go? Yeah. So Ben says, I'd feel a bit let down for the late check-in, right? Now that's a true thing. Like really annoyed. Couldn't they budget their time better so they didn't mess around with my plans? 100%. Now, do any of those thoughts help you live a better life and a better day? Because our goal over here is that you should be happy and connected. You should be your best self. Does this resonate? So the truth is, your friend needs the weekend to rest. Your friend needs the weekend to rest, and you want it to go. So how do you put that together in your own head? There we go. So Karen writes, let's do it another time. I was looking forward. Right? Now, in other words, these are not the right answers or the wrong answers. This is just the themes that right? Yeah, and Will says, and what if they pull that all of the time, right? By the way, the correct response might be absolutely fine. You have a good weekend, you have a great weekend, and I hope things go better for you. And then you might write down to yourself, never make plans with this person again. No, that's a legitimate response. But you don't have to put that in the email. Do you get what I'm saying? Does this resonate with people? Right? The point is, what is the response that protects me, that is in line with my values, that keeps me connected and smiling and happy? Now, sometimes, you know, we're living in a terrible time right now. People are being laid off from work. People are losing relatives. Not every response has to make you happy, okay? But it could be in line with your values. Be in line with your values. It can be something that doesn't leave you full of agitation, unconnected to self, unconnected to soul. So practice this, okay? I'm going over time, which is not fair, so I'm gonna quit now. But practice this. Think about situations, moments, yeah? Think about situations and moments where, you know, people make commitments to you, or people make demands of you, and they're not reasonable. And they're not reasonable, they're wrong. they're nasty, or they're selfish, right? Think about those things and practice finding a response that leaves you in line with your values, feeling happy, and dealing with the situation. Okay, over to Avadia. Sorry for going over, Avadia.
Thanks, Jamie. No problem at all. I was enjoying it. Hi, nice to see those of you who I can see. Nice to see names on the screen of those who can't. I hope everyone's well. So what I wanted to look at today was a series of, or rather a collection of skills that have been identified by a lot of experts in various fields, and share with you some of the things I've seen and some of the work that I've been exposed to on these things. So I'm going to share my screen and hope that I have no technical trouble with it. And it's not there. Oh, yes, it is there. Hold on. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to be looking at this concept of emotional intelligence, which I really prefer to just call being better at the things that matter. And emotional intelligence is a new science. And what we're going to do is just have a quick look at what it claims to do, and then give you hopefully a few very, very practical tools and ways to assess your own emotional intelligence. So what really is emotional intelligence? Well, let me ask another question, and please feel free to answer with comments. What are the key character traits or key personal skills that a person needs, which would smooth out every situation in life, be it professional situations or personal situations? And I think this follows really well. This is going to fit really well with what Jamie was just talking about right now, meaning let's look at this specific thing, right? We get a message that is a disappointing message, or a frustrating message, or a threatening message, or any kind of interaction, message or otherwise. How would you define the skill? How would you title the skill of being able to stop yourself from reacting and rather respond, of being in control of how you respond to that? I'm not sure if I can see messages while I'm sharing the screen. Okay, but what are some of the skills? And I'm sorry I can't see them, but everyone feel free to unmute yourselves and just shout out answers if you like. That's also good. Right, so I'm not getting any messages here, but I mean, general research has shown that there are 5 main skills or 5 main competencies. And we're going to look at what these are and how to internalize them, which is an ongoing process. So the first one is self-awareness, and we'll explain what each of these mean. The next is self-regulation. Next is motivation. Next is empathy, and then is social skills. So what I'm going to do is show you a bit of a description of each one, and then we're going to do a bit of an exercise for assessing where we are in each one and a process for getting stronger in each of these things. Okay. So I'm going to give full disclosure. I didn't create this table myself. This table was taken from HBR. Okay, so I want to do them one at a time. If anyone wants the entire sheet, I'm happy to email it to you. Right, but I want to do them one at a time. I want to start with self-awareness. So what is really self-awareness? And you can define it for yourself. It's pretty obvious, but what's going to be important is looking at the hallmarks of it. So the definition here you can read for yourselves, but the hallmarks of self-awareness are self-confidence, realistic self-assessment, and sometimes what's a giveaway of it is self-deprecating humor. Now, self-awareness is going to be a key strength. What I mean by a key strength is it's one of the hardest to acquire for the reason that I'll explain in a minute, but it's the one that leads to all the others. Why is it the hardest to acquire? Because the problem with self-awareness is very often the less of it people have, the more of it they think they have. By its very definition, meaning if I'm not good at weightlifting, I probably know I'm not good at weightlifting. and trying to lift weights will scientifically prove to me that I'm not good at weightlifting. By the way, I am. Okay, but with self-awareness, the worse I am at it, very often the better I might think I am at it. So we're going to need to, you know, and no one's perfect at it. So that's the idea, is that we just need to try to get a little bit better at it. Now, we've got a great skill here. We've got a great thing, because one of the keys to self-awareness is to try and visualize yourself from the outside, to try and see yourself how others see you. Now, over these last few weeks, I'm assuming I'm not the only one. It's all of us in this situation. Like, I'm speaking to you all now, and some of you I'm seeing your faces, some I'm not. But what's interesting is I'm seeing my own face as well. And here's a really interesting exercise to do. Try to catch yourself, like when you're on one of these things, when you're on a screen and you can see all the other people and you can also see yourself, just notice, without judging yourself, how much time you spend looking at everyone else's face and how much time you spend looking at your own face. Okay, and try to really, really be honest. And most people, when they're honest, will admit that they spend about 50% of the time looking at their own face and thinking about how they look. And the truth is, everyone else could go offline or could like go on to like mute their camera or whatever the technical term is, and they wouldn't notice because they're having a great time looking at their own face. But it really is a good opportunity to get an idea of how we look from the outside. Okay, so we're going to look at a bit of an exercise for assessing ourselves in this, right? Now, obviously, when we're scoring ourselves, we're always, you know, we don't have an objective. This isn't a scientific measure, but the key is going to be to assess ourselves on a regular basis. And what that's going to do is, you know, no one can have an objective scientific self-awareness score, right? No one can say, what's your self-awareness score? 27? Mine's 29. I'm 2 points more self-aware than you. It's never going to work that way. But the more often, or the more healthily and effectively we try to assess our own self-awareness, ultimately the more self-aware we will become. So the idea of it is not becoming better than anyone else. It's about becoming better than we were yesterday, right? We're always just trying to be better than we were yesterday. So, and again, I'll send this to you happily, but the trick, you know, is just to think about each of these and give ourselves a score out of 5. Now, the important thing, especially the first 5 or 6 times you do this, is not the score, it's the process of thinking about these things. And the process of thinking about how we look at these things differently now as opposed to a week ago. So the 4 indicators, or 4 of the stronger indicators of self-awareness, are how aware of my own feelings in the moment am I? Meaning, am I able to put a label on how I feel, right? Because we all get this, you know, thing sometimes, like the email Jamie spoke of before. For me personally, I know that if I really think about it, my whole physiology would change. When I get that email about the project being due tomorrow, what I know would happen is I'd read the email in my own personal case, but I think it's a good example because I don't think I'm totally weird, right? I'd read the email and I'd nod my head a bit and I'd start working on the project a little bit. But what I wouldn't necessarily notice is that my breathing has become shorter, my back has become more tense, my hands have become a little bit more tense, and I'm a little bit less patient and less tolerant of other things. Meaning in the few minutes after reading that email, if one of my kids was to run in here, just saying it so that you don't get surprised when it happens, right? If one of my kids was to run in here and stick his greasy little face up in the camera behind me and embarrass me, the more recently I'd had an email like that one Jamie showed us, the more likely I am to get annoyed and snap at the kid rather than deal with it in a patient way or even just laugh at it, right? So those are the things that would happen. So the more self-awareness, one of the things is knowing, like, you know what, I'm a bit on edge right now because I got that email, or even better, being able to give it like a real name. That's going to be the first like indicator. Second one is tuned into the thinking associated with feelings. Meaning now, if I can say how I feel, if I can put a label on the feeling, can I identify the thought process behind the feeling? Because as Shani said last week, all thoughts are really feelings and all feelings are really thoughts, to paraphrase. The next one is able to accurately assess my own strengths and weaknesses. And the fourth one is healthy self-worth, meaning an understanding that strengths and weaknesses, and more so successes and failures, don't dictate worth. So a real key to building our self-awareness is going to be able to think about these things. And as we think about them, we will become more self-aware, meaning even that person who thinks they're great at things and really, lacks self-awareness, and we all know such people. If you don't know such a person, you probably are that person, but hopefully not, right? But every person knows such a person. But even that person, if they really think about it, they will become more and more self-aware. So this is going to be the first key. And this can be a meditative experience. It really is worth meditating on. So what I would suggest is, after doing this, after thinking about it at first, to do a meditation which is all about breathing, where we, again, visualize. Like one of the things I said in a previous week is to just visualize ourselves being better in that way, right? So visualize yourself with healthy self-worth, to breathe in really, really slowly and see yourself from the outside with healthier self-worth, and see how it looks. And then breathe out. And as we breathe out, to just let go of all self-judgment and self-criticism. To breathe in and again, see ourselves with full self-worth, and breathe out and let go of all judgment and criticism. So over the next few days, we're going to do the other 4 of the strengths. And until then, if anyone wants this, please email me, and just keep on being great, everyone. Thank you all so much.
Hi, Abadi, can you unshare?
Done.
Hi, okay. So to Aitan, the recording is going to be posted on the Justify Alumni Facebook page, on my personal page, on Avadia's personal page. You can be in touch with us if you're unable to find us through that. To everyone who's joined, I just want to thank you all really very much for another great session. Obviously to the educators who shared time as well. We're in the middle of Passover, Pesach right now. After Pesach, we're going to resume the programming. Just out of interest, if you don't mind letting me know, is we've been doing things like 3 times a week, 9:30 on a Sunday and kind of 8 a.m. on a Tuesday and a Thursday. I'm interested to know from people whether more like twice a week or once a week would be better, or whether 3 times a week is great. So please feel free, just if you can, send us feedback. I'm typing my my email here. Excuse me, yeah. Make sure I get that right. Here, JamieJustifi.org. So you've got my email there, everyone. It's on the chat. Please send us feedback if you'd like it more than what, if you'd like it 3 times a week, or whether once. Your feedback, and anything else that you have to say about the session, stuff that you'd like to hear, etc., etc., etc. And just wishing everyone a meaningful Passover, a meaningful Pesach, and looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.